The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me as always, Joseph to my Gordon Levitt, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing?
Doing great.
Wow, such optimism.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I expected the typical pessimistic Tim. I'm glad you're excited. Why don't you tell everybody what album we're going to be talking about today?
This week, we are talking about Nicki Minaj's Pink Friday, released November 22nd, 2010.
Tim, do you hate this album?
I think so. I'm not 100% there yet.
I may not be able to get you there. I'm just saying.
You usually do.
Ugh.
What about you? Do you hate this?
I don't think so. I don't like it.
Oh,
I don't enjoy it.
No.
But I don't think I hate it. Before we dive in, something I want to do for our listeners. We've been getting some comments on the Facebooks and the iTunes, and Lord knows we love them. They're confused as to which one of us is which. So I thought that we'd do a small exercise real quick so that you guys might better understand who's talking and when. Sound like a good plan? Okay, so this is Garrett talking. This is Tim talking. This is Garrett talking. This is Tim talking. Tim, you think that clears it up? Yeah, I think that's pretty clear. So now when you hear us talk, it should be crystal clear, shouldn't have any confusion whatsoever. All right, Tim, is this your first time to have your Nicki Minaj?
It is. I don't think I've ever heard her before. Have you?
Nope.
All right.
Not even a single fucking song. Can you believe it?
No. And by that I mean I literally don't believe you.
What does that mean? Why?
I cannot believe that in your 46 years you have never heard Nicki Minaj.
First of all, I am not 46 years old. Second of all, she hasn't been around that long. Third of all, why would I have heard Nicki Minaj?
You love rap, you love pop, you love Pink. Seems like a perfect fit.
I like one of those things, and I'll let the listener decide which one it is. Now, you, on the other hand, just enjoy a strong and powerful woman, so I'm surprised that you're not intimately familiar with Miss Minaj.
That's fair, yes.
Did you even know who she was?
I had sort of a vague understanding, I think. I've seen photos of her and was always confused by what was happening in those.
We're not here to deconstruct the physical looks of people, but it's going to be impossible to not touch on that at some point, maybe when we get to general thoughts. But boy howdy, what is going on there? But again, we'll get there. Same here. I had seen photos of her and was equally as perplexed. Have you seen the cover of the single Anaconda?
I have not.
Okay, so that was the first photo I ever saw of her, and thought that somebody had photoshopped her in a cruel manner. Nope. Yeah. There's definitely an evolution of Miss Minaj. Boy, I'm going to have a hard time with this all day, with Miss Minaj. But like I said, let's save it for the general thoughts. Before we dig into it, though, Tim, how about you take us on a magical journey back in time to the origins of Miss Minaj and how we came to get the cultural phenomenon that is Nicki?
Miss Minaj was actually born Onika Tanya Mirage in Trinidad and or Tobago in 1982. So she is at least as old as Gary claims to be, or approximately 5 years younger than Garrett actually is, whichever one we're going with. Her mom...
None of that's accurate.
Her mom...
Also, it's Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Try to continue, you illiterate fuck.
Her mom was a gospel singer, and her dad was a financial executive. However, in addition to the gospel singing and financial executing, her dad also enjoyed the occasional alcoholic beverage and toot on the old crack cocaine pipe.
And by occasional...
Constant.
There it is.
Yeah. Combine that with what sounds like a pretty unpleasant temper and general demeanor, and that resulted in him burning down their house, an attempt to kill Miss Minaj's mom. So that's fun.
Definitely tried to kill Carol with the oh-so-effective way of burning down the entire house.
Well, you're not necessarily thinking that clearly whenever you are mixing the uppers and downers.
I thought you were going to say you don't think that clearly on crack, and I was going to disagree.
No.
Razor sharp on that crack cocaine.
That's right.
Everything is suddenly so clear.
Yes. We
Make
should
a lot of
get
business
some
plans.
Crack.
Really take this podcast to the next level.
After that little incident, she lived with their grandmother while her mom moved to the Bronx to go to Monroe College.
Monroe College.
God damn it.
Learn to read. It's English, man.
All right, you got to stop doing this.
You gotta start reading correct.
After that little incident, she lived with their grandmother while her mom moved to the Bronx to go to college, and her dad went off to focus more on his interests on fire, crack, and presumably the financial sector, I guess.
I don't know how he balanced all that.
The crack.
Oh, right.
Yeah. You get like an extra 8 hours in your day. It's pretty great. She moved to Queens whenever she was 5 years old to live with her mom and had a somewhat less eventful childhood after that. She developed an interest in performing in general and got into LaGuardia High School in Manhattan, which I think is one of those magnet schools for like the performing arts. She originally wanted to be an actress and was cast in an off-Broadway play at 19 in 2001. After that, she joins a couple of musical groups in New York City, including Full Force and Hood Stars.
Full Force is the artist collective, aka production team behind the quartet, the Hood Stars. She signs with Full Force and then joins the Hood Stars.
They were notable pretty much only for recording wrestler entrance music for the WWE in 2004. Is that right?
I mean, you're giving them more credit. Recording a single song that was then used by a female wrestler in 2004. Just one gig.
Then in 2007, she signs a record contract with Dirty Money Entertainment under the name Nicki Minaj and changed it to Minaj, saying that Fendi flipped it when he met me because I had such a nasty flow. I eat bitches.
Did you see how long that contract was for?
180 days, I think.
Is that standard?
It either means they had very little confidence in her or a lot of confidence.
Probably the former. Probably of note, with that small switch, she allegedly and would report later that she fought it tooth and nail and hated switching her name to Nicki Minaj, but was told that it would be far more commercially advantageous for her to do so. And she was a young artist coming up just looking for a shot, so she said, fuck it, just make it Minaj then. And has regretted it ever since.
It is technically a better name given her nasty flow and bitch eating.
Good point.
From 2007 to 2009, she recorded and released 3 mixtapes that were fairly well received. They were all more hip-hoppy than this album is, and she won Female Artist of the Year at something called the Underground Music Awards. And her third mixtape, Beam Me Up Scotty, got her some airplay on MTV and BET. Her career started taking off a little bit after that. She was discovered by Lil Wayne. He is kind of her Jamie Foxx, or who was the guy that took in the young boy named
Usher.
Yes, Usher.
Yes, sort of, with the exception that she'd already been in the scene and was taking a far more traditional route. She was not just randomly plucked off the internet by a much older gentleman.
Yes, also she's not a boy.
That is, she was doing it normally. She'd been coming up in the scene for years. You can find all sorts of videos and mixtapes with her. I mean, it's incredible how many different people, I think it was something around 25 different people she'd been featured with before she ever even got hooked up with Lil Wayne. He had plenty to look at and was probably aware of her.
Yeah. In 2010, it comes time for her first real album, Pink Friday. I guess the title's a play on Black Friday in some sort of feud with Lil Kim or Keys or somebody.
Oh, yeah. And that brings us right up to the album of the week, Pink Friday. As is custom here on the show, Tim, I know that you enjoy a good nickname. Did you stumble across the multiple nicknames Miss Minaj has?
I did.
So, Cookie, Ninja, and my personal favorite, Harajuku Barbie.
That's right.
Back to the Harajuku look, and at least I can say confidently she lives the Harajuku lifestyle.
She also lives the Barbie lifestyle?
Absolutely.
In 2011, did you see that Mattel released a Barbie that was based on her look?
I did. There were a few subtle yet key differences, though. The doll looked much more like the proportions of a human person.
Any excuse to get some Harajuku in there, Garrett is on board with.
Now, I will say, in full disclosure, of course, this did in fact lead back to me Googling Holla Batgirl, which has consumed a good portion of the last few days. Put my outfit back on, danced around the house, gave it a good march, blew my whistle. Batman had a great time chasing me. We've almost got the choreography to do a complete reenactment of the entire video. Stay tuned for that. Let's dig into the general thoughts here. Boy howdy.
Yeah, just to start us off here, I was under the impression that this was going to be a straight rap album.
Yeah.
I'd always thought of her, but she does way more singing on this than I expected. It's sort of like a rapist that is consciously trying to make a Katy Perry album.
It is like the most most vulgar Katy Perry album you've ever heard. Which, honestly, on paper, that sounds pretty goddamn delightful. Turns out, not so great. On that note, Tim, I will ask you, better singer, better rappist?
I'm going to say rappist.
Agreed.
But that's mostly because I'm not 100% sure what her voice sounds like singing. This whole thing is auto-tuned to shit.
Of course it is. This is going to be a weird one for me, and I think this is why I can't say that I hate it. I'm going to give her a good number of compliments here. When she gets going, at her best, she's a very competent rapper.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a number of songs on here where she's just phoning it in. Now, I'm no rap specialist. I'm not a rapologist. I have no degree in raponomy or rapology. But there's a number of people, much like some of the other rap music we've looked at, where there's just a whole fucking army of people that worked on this album.
Yeah.
So when that's the case, and you have 2, 3, 4 writers, 3 producers, and then a guest star, how hard is it really to practice rhyming?
You can stitch it together too, right?
Exactly.
So you can, if you fuck up a line, no big deal. Just do it a couple more times, and I'm sure we can put the best parts of each one of those together.
I mean, you and I know better than anyone. Folks, if you could ever see behind the curtain here, it takes us a good 6 or 7 hours to make one of these.
Yeah.
We whittle it down to the best hour and 10 minutes of your life. If you think Tim's incessant mispronunciation of English words that we all know is enraging, just imagine how often he does it where I cut it down so that you can at least understand what the fuck he's talking about. Tim, what is your native tongue?
A mixture of German and Arabic.
That must come in super handy.
Well.
Jarabic. Anyway.
A lot of this, specifically the rap parts where she's insulting people and screaming about shit, it seems like that Natalie Portman SNL digital short. I assumed that after hearing this album for the first time, that this might have been part of the inspiration for that, but the SNL thing definitely came out like 4 or 5 years before this, so maybe the other way around? Yeah, it's 2006.
I would say that the SNL digital short, Lazy Sunday, is far wittier and better constructed than anything on this album. So why is she so well received?
I don't know.
Because she's monstrous and she eats bitches.
Well, she does eat
question.
bitches.
Tim, do you eat bitches?
I don't.
Nah, you sure don't.
A lot of the lyrics in general also have this weird persecution complex. Like Slipknot, she seems to have an awful lot of nemeses.
I would have said enemies, but okay.
Nemeses. So it's sort of split between this partially uplifting, you can't stop me, I'm the greatest thing ever, I'm a powerful woman, and fuck you, I'll murder you with a bike lock for daring to also make a rap album. It's strange.
For her debut album, it is peculiar to me how confident she is.
And also how many enemies or nemeses she has accrued pre-first album.
To sing so much about how great her raps are on her first rap album is peculiar. And then, well, I mean, she did have a lot of beefs by this point. I have read about her beefs. Yeah, so a diss track or two is not too much of a surprise. After listening to this album repeatedly, and she is like cream of the crop, top of the heap, respected not only as one of the great female rapists, but one of the great rapists in general. Tim, we need to start a rap group.
I know. I was attempting to get you to do this since 96, and you said, no one likes white rapists.
That's true. That may still very well be the case. But I honestly believe we could do this. And now, one of us is going to have to learn how to make sick beats.
Oh, I got that.
I don't think you do.
That's my entire job, all day.
That's not what you do.
It's not what
beats. Anyone is paying you to do.
Well,
and if that's how you're spending your day, you need to stop. So one of us needs to learn. It's probably going to be me, because I think you're going to actually be the primary rapist. And I don't like putting you up front in any venue, but you've shown your skills, Tim. You've got some pretty solid skills on the mic.
Here's the thing. I'm much more articulate when rapping than when speaking.
That does seem to be the case. Something about the way you breathe, or potentially the fact that you don't actually have to know the words that you're saying.
No,
maybe that's it.
Make some noises.
Well, there's a whole part of these songs where, in lieu of actual words, she's just making noises.
They're some of my favorite parts of this album.
Of course they are.
So I have to ask you this. What percentage of the lyrics on this album were plagiarized from either inspirational posters or from seeing like No Fear t-shirts in the 90s?
Well, you see, the difference here, Tim, is you have to throw a shit or a fuck into the middle of those inspirational statements, and then they're completely your own.
Whoa, okay. You know,
But
I don't
at least-
understand rap.
No, you don't. At least 86% of what is said on this album could easily be put on a sunset or on a beach.
Yeah.
One of those terrible perseverance, and then a line from this album.
Or those stupid no fear eyes. Plop this on the back of a t-shirt.
Is that still a thing?
So here's the thing.
Okay.
I found a website that lists every single slogan no fear ever put on a t-shirt. They match this so much better than your poetry has ever matched any Slipknots or Metallicas.
That's bold. I half expected to have some poetry that would line up with this, and just nothing. I was a very poor, bold, and empowered woman at age 16.
Yes, something like that.
You sound skeptical.
Skeptical but interested.
You thought I was a strong, powerful woman at 16?
Strong, powerful black woman, yes.
Came much later.
Before we get out of this general thought, in our last 3 weeks of episodes, this is our second album that has a perfume named after it. Mm-hmm. Get on that Florida Georgia line. Come on.
What would it smell like? Old leather boots?
Yes.
It would smell like cinnamon whiskey and cherry lip gloss.
Yeah, and some stale Budweiser, I think.
Oh yeah, they'd buy it. I swear to God their fans would buy it. Those people are insane. So, as I mentioned up top, I want to talk a little bit. I don't want this to come off as mean. It's purely inquisitive. What happened to her physically?
It looks like a ton of plastic surgery, but I don't think that's it.
It's not no plastic surgery.
I'm sure there's like an Instagram filter that will do this to your face.
Okay, so let's go piece by piece. And again, this is not meant to sound mean-spirited. It's just in my nature.
Yeah, mean-spirited. You're a mean boy, Garrett.
Starting with the face, I don't think she's done a thing. I think that 99% of that is excessive creative makeup.
Yes, and on album covers at least, they're photoshopped.
Album covers, I won't even pick on her for the album covers, minus the fact that she is essentially more provocative than anything I ever saw in a Playboy growing up. Just happens to be wearing, tinsel. I think her face is just makeup because I've seen a ton of photos of her by now. By and large, the same basic features are there. I think she just got older and it filled out a little bit. She's got the high cheekbones, she's got the eyes, the big mouth. She has a large, big, toothy grin. All the things that people would have plastic surgery to emulate. I think that all comes naturally. And that brings us to the rest of the body. Let's talk about the breast and ass. First, the breast. Now, this is the number one
concern?
No, what? Breasts are never a concern, Tim. At least not for most of us. No, this is the number one contender for plastic surgery in my mind. These things are out of control. And that brings me to the most troubling part of this woman is her ass. And the most controversial. Now, I can say confidently, because I read a number of articles, I am not alone in saying, what in the hell is going on there?
Yeah, well, I will say this. She does have, thin legs.
Yes.
So it does, it's not physically possible for that to be natural.
Correct. Especially if you look at several photos of her or videos. I watched a lot of early music videos where she's featured on things like the Come Up, and then watching her in her latest stuff. I mean, that body's not even sort of the same, and it is only medically possible through science.
Well, she is the future of humanity.
Well, that's troubling.
Yeah, you start posting stuff like this or Kim Kardashian on the Instagram, and people start emulating it and getting some sort of weird injections or some sort of robot parts. I don't really know which one it is, probably the injections, but can never rule out robot parts.
Yeah, and you never know. Somebody might have a robotic ass.
Yeah, goddamn androids, man.
There's a ton of controversy online. Some people are very mean about it. Others are just kind of curious. I probably sit somewhere in between. I won't ask you to comment, Tim. I think I understand. I'm starting to understand why you're uncomfortable with this topic in general. But as a heterosexual man, I don't find it that attractive. It's mostly just confusing.
I would also like to say I'm a heterosexual man, and I too find it confusing.
You know what? Hey, let's just save it, okay? You're silent as could be earlier when I'm talking about different parts of her body, and then all of a sudden we get to declaring our sexual preferences, and you just can't speak up fast enough. I don't want to hear it now, okay?
Rude.
The last thing I want to touch on, just in general thoughts, is did you listen to any interviews with her?
No.
This is fascinating to me. One of the things that I've always respected about rap, especially early on, is that it was authentic in most regards. And by that I mean, and I'm not the first to say this, early on rap music took on this persona as the new punk. I don't give a fuck. This is who I am. This is the unfiltered, uncommodified, writ large. This is my art. And that's very respectable, whether you enjoy the rap music or not. In today's modern world, I just don't think that's the case anymore. And the reason being is, as I mentioned, she's featured in a video called The Come Up way back in the day, doing some guest vocals, some guest raps, but then also as part of this video, and you can see it on YouTube, she does like an interview with a guy who's kind of promoting her as, this is Nicki Minaj, she's kind of a big deal, she's going to be the next big thing. And when you listen to her speak, she sounds like a girl who grew up in Queens and didn't attend school much.
Yeah.
Then jump ahead, and I watched 2 different interviews with her on Ellen. It was coincidental. I happened to be watching Ellen anyway, as I do every day.
Right.
And it's a completely different voice. Suddenly her vocabulary is incredibly robust. Which one's real?
It does come up quite a bit, even in her songs. There is, between the singing and the rapping Nicki Minaj, there is a difference.
Yeah, Disney princess, terrifying woman who will beat you to death with a padlock.
But even with, like, word choices in particular, there is a qualitative difference between those two things. And then she also seems to like to fake accents.
Yeah. We'll dig into that in a bit. Honestly, I think she's pretty good at it. She's good at manipulating her voice. And this is, I guess, my point with all of this is I feel like this is all very constructed.
It's not your Run DMC kind of thing.
No, it's not your Run DMC. It's not your NWA. I would say it's not even your Angry Hammer after Too Legit came out and he became Gangsta Hammer. Before he became a rapper. It's all very commodified, manufactured, and that's not to take away from her rap abilities. It just makes me question the whole thing. You got an entire army of people working on this album. You've got somebody that is, for all intent and purposes, playing a character. It made me feel like the whole thing was a bit disingenuous, I guess is my point.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
I guess I just want to know who's the real Nicki. Let us in, Nick. Let us see the real you. I'm sure you're beautiful. I will say this. If you were to take off all the makeup, eyelashes, wigs, and bullshit that this woman has on at all times and put it on one side of the scale and had her stand on the other, pretty sure all the bullshit weighs more. This is a manufactured woman top to bottom.
Yeah.
It's very curious. Okay, you ready to do some song by song?
Absolutely.
Let's take it to the first one. I'm the best.
I have to give her a little bit of credit here. I do. This is what almost every single hippity hop song I've ever heard has been about, and she's the first person I know that has come right out and just titled her song, I'm the best.
Yeah, that's true. It's not like it's called Right on Front Street. This is who I am.
That being said, I don't know how she was able to decide that this was the song she was going to call I'm the Best, since all of her songs seem to have that theme.
They are all largely based around how great she is.
Yeah.
The general sound of it when she's not rapping and she is singing, I am convinced this is what a Disney song will sound like in 10 years. Profanity and all. As we continue the general slide of culture and intelligence in this country to the lowest of lows, I mean, just look at basic television. And I'm not complaining. Lord knows I curse like a sailor. But it is interesting to see what has become socially acceptable in public. And I think that ultimately we will end up seeing some Disney princess saying, fuck you, bitch. I'm the best in max 10 years.
Oh, I wait for the day. I love Disney movies. I love profanity. And I'd like to see all of those in my Disney movies. Did you take a look at the Genius annotations just in general on this album? The majority of them seem to be about this complicated and long explanations of feuds within the rap world that I didn't know existed, but now I do. Lil Kim, whoever this Keys person is, it's so in-depth and involved and confusing, and I don't really know why they're angry at each other.
For the most part, it seems to be theater. I will say in this instance that the Lil Kim feud is 100% real. Those two hate each other, but mostly it's just a PR stunt that allows both sides to sell more records.
Fair enough. I didn't know that capes were coming back in style. I'm super excited.
What do you mean?
Didn't know what I was doing, but I put on the cape.
They're not coming back in style.
Oh.
This is from 2010.
Yo, yeah.
Yeah, you missed the cape phase.
Sort of. I'm just coming into my cape phase because I bought a bunch of capes this week.
Where do you even get a cape?
Capes R Us.
That's not a place.
There's a cape... Well, it's an internet... I mean, it's technically capesrs.com, but...
I thought you were going to say big and large stores.
There's also a bunch of lines on here that refer to the fact that she grew up in an abusive home and that her dad enjoyed the alcohol and the crack cocaines.
Well, it had an interesting effect on her. This tends to go one of two ways. Either you become a crack addict as well, or it teaches you to buckle down and take life seriously so that you never become the crack addict that sets your family on fire. And she went the latter route.
So far.
Pretty sure at this point she's probably pretty safe from the crack cocaine habit.
Garrett, I'll let you in on something here. There is no level of success you can ever achieve that crack monkey ever lets go.
There's no level of success you can achieve.
That's what I said.
Most
yes.
of us are not and have not been addicted to crack cocaine.
I didn't say I had. This is more of a general thing. The crack monkey is
doesn't
always
sound it.
there, and it's always there for all of us.
Crack monkey needs your love.
That's right. The line, which means you can't breathe till I motherfucking say so, sounds the most like that Natalie Portman rap.
Yes. Now, what is the word for misogyny or toxic masculinity when it's said by a lady?
Irony?
I think it's feminism.
Oh,
No, I'm
controversial.
joking. Obviously, I joke. I take feminism very seriously. Not quite as seriously as Tim, but very seriously.
Well, right, but you couldn't be such good friends with Leans if you weren't a member in their fight.
Not. No, she would never have taught me the handshake. It is kind of interesting. She's saying it about another woman, so, if that was a man saying that, that would not be okay.
Caddy? Are you thinking of Caddy?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm just going to move along.
All right.
What else you want to talk about?
A couple more lyrics here. I hear they're coming for me because the top is lonely. No fear, first of all. That's
that is
definitely
great.
a no fear. Goddamn t-shirts. Somebody was wearing no fear t-shirts in the recording studio, is my theory here. Did you ever have a no fear shirt?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, me too.
Of course I did.
I had
3.
I probably had more than that. I had mostly, because we didn't get the really cool ones in the Saudi Arabia. Some were just, the no fear logo, and then some were the ones with the
Limericks, if you will.
Yeah.
Lead follower, get out of the way.
That's right.
My father had a bit of a no fear streak in him.
I assume he still does. That is perfect, Fred.
Now, he only had one saying. 100% I'm not joking. Tim, you know Fred, I'm not joking. He said this to me when I got second place in a cross-country meet in high school. We all know how fragile I was then. And I said, wow, yeah, I got second place. And he said, second place is the first loser.
Oh, yeah, that is definitely a no fear thing. I thought you were going to say, if you come in second again, I'll put you through the fucking wall.
No, now you're just mixing Fredisms. Those were two very separate ones. The beauty of just focusing on the wall putting is that you can apply it to any scenario, not just coming in second.
That's true, yeah. So before we move on to the next song, let me just read you the last 3 lines of the chorus. I'm the best, 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 best. I'm the best, 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 best. I'm the best. How is this a song, Garrett?
Well, it's not.
Okay.
There are a number of songs on this album that for the last 45 to 55 seconds, there's no words. It's just bleeps and blorps.
That was actually kind of interesting too, because I thought this was going to be more of a rap album, and it kind of shares something with the Antword. It's very much dance music.
That was a huge insight to me because I can at least understand the popularity. People love to dance, Tim. And this might be why I don't like modern rap music. I hate dancing.
You do hate dancing.
This house is practically the city from Footloose. Now, doors closed, no one's around, holla back girl, as loud as I can possibly get it. You better believe I'm dancing. Now, that is very tightly choreographed dancing.
You can't say holla back girl, because anyone would dance to that. Like, that's...
You can't help yourself.
Yeah.
I've added some moves myself. It's much more of a march now. But yes, to your point, it's super dancey. And I think that really is my biggest problem with modern rap. Well, that's not true, because there's a whole other side of rap music where you just kind of sound like you're drugged out and repeating yourself over and over again. Let's move it along. Track number 2, Roman's Revenge, featuring Eminem.
Bruce. This opens up with the line, I am not Jasmine, I am Aladdin. Kind of dated reference, but whatever. It also brings up something I need to ask you about, because you know much more about the Nicki Minaj than I do in general. Yep. You've been following her for years.
Right, yep.
Repeatedly on this album, she refers to herself by male pronouns. She calls herself king, talks about this dick that she has.
Well, in that instance, she says, if I had a dick, so that's not the same.
There's there's two instances, first of all.
Right.
What's up?
Well, it's right there in the title, Tim. Roman's Revenge. This song is from the perspective of her alter ego, Mr. Roman Zelensky.
Well, okay, in this song, but all those references aren't in this song.
Sure, she has many aliases and moves between them effortlessly and without notifying the listener.
I guess I was silly to
listen,
be confused.
Gordon, if you go around walking around as Tim Richardson...
Hey, you
what?
do not call me Gordon Eversley. I won't
Well,
stand
then you need
for
to
it.
respect Mr. Roman Zelensky.
No, I don't.
Well, that's where you and I differ. I actually think the opening part where she says, I am Aladdin, I am not Jasmine, is really just more of a, I'm the hero to this tale.
Okay,
I'm not the
fair
princess needing to be saved.
So this is just about her being a strong woman, then?
Right. I'm shocked it didn't immediately become apparent to you. You have a keen ear for modern feminism, and I would have thought you'd have spotted it immediately.
It's usually not filtered through pretending to be men.
That's true. That can make things a little more complicated to follow.
As you were saying, she does have this Roman Zelensky part, and then later in the song, I guess it's the outro, whenever she fakes a British accent, and she becomes Martha Zelensky, Roman's mother. Okay, I guess we're
All
just...
super clear. I'm sure the listener's not confused in the least.
Yeah.
Tim, we should probably mention that the song opens with her pretending to be a dragon.
So we've got the rah, rah, like a dungeon dragon. Rah, rah, like a dungeon dragon. I love this.
I loved it. I don't love your version of it. I just don't, you know what it is? I don't believe you're dragon.
You don't believe that I am, in fact, inhabiting a dragon. I get that.
Yeah. Would you like to do it again with a little more feeling, a little more confidence? I think you've got a dragon in you, Tim.
Okay, let me give it a shot.
Really roll those R's.
Rah, rah, like a dungeon dragon. Rah, rah, like a dungeon dragon.
It's better.
Okay.
It is better. You're no Smaug, but you're on your way.
This is, I guess, a Busta Rhymes reference.
That was a huge shock to all of us. Who even remembers Mr. Rhymes?
Oh, he came out with an album last year, man. You will remember him pretty soon.
Oh, Christ.
That's right. Also, this Roth, that was on the K-Way album we talked about back in February, right?
Yes.
Is it a rap thing?
No.
Okay. It's just a crazy person thing?
It is a crazy person thing.
She does sort of a growling voice throughout this song, even when she's not pretending to be a dragon.
I think that is to sort of compliment Slim Shady, a.k.a. Bruce.
Okay, because he does it as well.
Well, that's him. He does
Well,
that.
that's true. You're right.
Especially when he's not being Marshall Mathers.
Oh,
aka
you know,
Bruce.
this is Garrett.
I know it can sound a little confusing to the untrained ear. There's 4 people involved in this song, and maybe Busta Rhymes. I promise you, it's just 2 people pretending. Well, technically, it's just 2 people pretending to be 3 other people, if you want to include Martha and a dragon. Okay, so there's 5 people, a dragon, and Busta Rhymes, but he's outside. He's not in the room. This song is about telling Lil Kim to go fuck herself, basically. To anyone that doesn't know the background on this beef, basically, Lil Kim's just like, hey, you kind of stole my shit. Being a hardcore lady rapper that's wearing the crazy wigs, being overly sexual, and by and large these things were popularized by Lil Kim 10-ish years previously, so she feels kind of as though Miss Minaj is taking her shine, if you will. Lil Kim, upon hearing this song, creates her own diss track in response.
Can I say this? I love that you're saying diss track now. Love it.
Well, much like many other aspects of this friendship, you have just worn me down to a nub, to the point where I just can't fight you anymore.
Yeah.
I can only fight you on so many things, and one of those things is so very important to fight tooth and nail against that some stuff I just have to acquiesce. Anyway, I'd like to read some lyrics from Lil Kim's diss track, her response, and she called it Black Friday. I have to say I agree with Lil Kim. She puts in rap form a lot of my issues with Miss Minaj, and I quote, "Alright, you Lil Kim clone clown. All this buffoonery shit stops now. We all know your last name is what got you the job. You put together a gimmick, something like a collage. Since you putting on a show, you gon' get the applause. This hood shit you and Drake ain't built for. This the shit the other bitch almost got killed for." Lil Kim definitely, well, a member of her entourage definitely tried to kill somebody. "Corny broad, I'll leave you bloody like you menstruated. Your hot air ass, you should have been deflated."
I'm kind of afraid of both of these women.
Well, one, because Nicki Minaj, I think, is way bigger than me.
Really?
I mean, if she sits on me, I'm fucked. I don't know what's in her butt, but it looks firm.
Yeah, all right.
Lil Kim, I'm just straight scared of.
Yeah, you should be.
I mean, she went to jail.
I do not need to
Sounds right.
start a beef with Lil Kim
Yeah, Miss Little, we apologize.
So thanks to Genius Lyrics, I learned of a new style that is on this album. Hashtag rap.
What?
So, Nicki Minaj is known for using what is called hashtag rap. The concept is simple. You follow a line with a one-word or short phrase hashtag, and then you build your rhyme off of it. She has in here, I'll kick that hoe, punt, forced trauma, blunt. So ends with a word that I guess would be the hashtag to the previous line.
This is why our social media is a mess. I don't understand anything you just said.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Bruce.
Sure.
AKA Slim Shady. If anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, go back, listen to the Eminem episode. His middle name is Bruce. He likes to be called Bruce. I'm going to say something here, Tim.
His performance isn't bad. What he's saying is terrible.
I honestly don't have that big of a problem with it.
He's pissing on people.
Uh-huh.
Oh, well, you know what? I assumed you would have agreed right there.
That's Slim Shady, Tim. He's a prankster. He's a modern-day Loki, the mischief god.
Okay.
What's more mischievous than urinating on someone? It's quite a little prank.
You are terrible at pranks.
Or the best.
Have you ever heard somebody say no homo?
Yeah. Usually it was just before or just after saying something that was even remotely sensitive.
Okay. Well, his exact line, and again, I'll issue a trigger warning for the upcoming lines. This is obviously not something I would ever say, but it is a direct quote. All you little faggots can suck it, no homo. Yeah.
Well, he just wants to make sure everybody understands that it's an insult and he's not inviting men to come suck his wiener.
I think there would be an uproar if he said something like that on an album in 2018.
Yeah, you can't do that now.
Right. He said something that made me laugh so much. Still hungry, my ass, you ass dicks, head gastric bypass.
It's my next note, Tim.
Ass dicks.
Ass dicks is one of the funniest insults I've heard in a very long time.
The only other lyric I think that I need to bring up here is, you brag a lot, I'll beat you with a padlock. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's aggressive. That's too specific to be like a clever word choice. That's experiential.
Gary, as a man who was assaulted at least once in college by a masked man wielding a padlock, I assumed this brought back some very unpleasant memories for you.
Yeah, well, I live with those nightmares every night, Tim.
Yeah, okay.
Coincidentally, again, I just like to ask, where were you that night?
I can't. That was over a decade ago. I cannot account for my whereabouts.
Okay, well, that's the same thing you said the next day, so...
Well...
And the bloody padlock in your room, you said, was completely... You don't even know where that came from, right?
No, I know where that came from. Hardware store.
Okay. Well, we're going to take this offline.
Track number 3, Did It On 'Em.
All these bitches is my sons. And I ain't talking about Phoenix, bitch.
What's happening in this song?
She's shitting on people.
I thought it was figurative, but now I'm not so sure.
It is
I think she might be
unclear.
pooping on people.
She has the put your number 2s in the air if you did it on 'em. I was picturing somebody doing a peace sign.
Me too.
Yes, with the clever, obvious wordplay of number 2 and shit.
But that's not what it is. It's not peaceful, though.
Now, I assume she's pooping on people. Have you seen that video where the lady, it's like at a Starbucks, she's yelling at somebody?
It's a Tim Hortons.
Poor Canada. She leans against the wall, poops, like it was immediate.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of performance anxiety involved in pooping publicly, I assume. She's clearly done it before. But yeah,
I think also a pretty healthy drug problem seems to be encouraging her to be able to do it without a whole lot of self-consciousness.
But I mean, she just shits on the floor, picks it up and hurls it at somebody, runs away, and then comes back to like push some stuff off the counter. I don't know why you'd need to do that second part. Seems like you've made your statement.
Tim Hortons has a policy of letting anyone use their bathroom whether or not they're a patron, but she had abused that privilege so many times by doing drugs in the bathroom that they were like, not this time, lady. She's like, oh yeah? You think I'm just gonna go in there and do drugs? I'm also gonna poop. She went to jail. I would like to call out the hype man in this song. I think he does a fantastic job. Some great quotes. He shouts, I don't even know what layaway look like. I can't even spell welfare. I'm gonna throw just for me perm at your heads.
So specific.
In our rap duo, there will be at least half of the album where you are the rappist and I am the hype man. And I never thought that would be the delineation of responsibilities when you and I are in a rap duo.
I've always assumed. I kind of think of you as my second fiddle.
That's Tim?
Yep.
I am furious right now. That's definitely not the case.
I think so. What are you doing with your life that's so great? You're
I'm
in
being
charge.
me. Strip away all of your accolades and your education and your prestigious job, and what do you have? Just you.
Oh, I was going to say you.
Oh.
If I had a dick, I would pull it out and piss on him.
That's in the song, folks.
Yo,
That was
yes,
not-
I apologize. I
Tim
have
both
a dick
has a dick
and would
and
not
will
do
not be
that.
pissing on me.
The genius annotation here. Ladies, I assure you, this is quite satisfying to do. What?
Oh my God.
That's the first line of the genius annotation. Also, the ladies is in all caps, so it's probably more like ladies.
See, I would read that more like ladies. I assure you. That's horrifying. I think this is maybe the only part that Leans wouldn't necessarily be on board with. I don't think you need a penis to be empowered.
Of course not, no.
Certainly not to urinate on someone. But,
But it's easier to, I would assume, right?
I would assume.
Yes.
I can't say for certain.
And then there's the line, these little nappy-headed hoes need a Perminator.
Yes.
Is that a Don Imus Rutgers basketball reference?
No.
Okay. Are you sure?
I don't think so.
Is nappy-headed hose just a phrase that I've been missing?
You haven't been missing it, Tim. You've been appropriately not using it.
Oh, okay.
You and that phrase are not friends. There's no reason you should have come across it, and there's no reason you should ever have to say it, aside from this song, of course. You're quoting a song. There's nothing wrong with that.
Ooh, then I've got some other quotes from these songs.
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
okay.
There are some words in here we are going to keep from saying. We're trying to grow the podcast, and there is such a thing as bad press.
We could grow it in the alt-right if you'd prefer to
that's
go
all
that-
right.
Okay.
We're okay. And I would prefer if they did not contact us. Track number 4, Right Through Me.
Let me win, you let me ride, you let me rock, you let me slide. And when they look into
This is a powerful song about a powerful woman overcoming great adversity, right?
That's not what I got.
What's it about?
I think it's about a powerful woman who is vulnerable. Despite the facade that she may put up to the rest of the world, she has a partner in life who sees straight through her, and in her own words, he has a peephole to her soul. Tim, do you have a peephole to my soul?
I do.
How's it looking in there?
Kind of oogie. It's not
Oh,
great.
That's not good.
It
I guess it could
is-
be worse. You could have said empty or barren.
It's dark, like a de-antwoord cup of coffee.
That's not good. I think it's more about being vulnerable to the one you love who sees through all your nonsense.
I would like to develop that sort of relationship with you. There's
Well,
just
I'm gonna
the
fight
problem
tooth
is
and nail.
well, the problem is there's just so much nonsense.
We do have an above average amount of nonsense in
Yeah.
our interactions.
I haven't heard you say anything honest in about 6 years. It's weird.
I don't even know what that would sound like.
Yeah, because you haven't said anything honest in about 6 years. There are 52 iterations of how did you do that or how did you do that shit throughout this song. That's too many.
I do love that she slipped in how do you do that shit. If you weren't paying attention to the actual words, this could easily be a Katy Perry song.
Most of these songs could.
A lot of them. Anytime they're singing, almost certainly. It's one of the more boring songs on here. Track number 5, Fly, featuring Rihanna.
enemies, me against friends. Somehow they both seem to become one. A sea full of sharks and they all
Not a cover of a horrifying and dark Sugar Ray song.
Thank God, right?
We can give it that compliment. Better than Sugar Ray.
That's a low bar, though.
The hook, sung by Rihanna. I came to win, to fight, to conquer, to thrive. I came to win, to survive, to prosper, to rise, to fly, no fear.
It's funny you should say that, Tim, because Miss Minaj is quoted as saying specifically about this song and those lines you just read, this is a song of female empowerment. But then again, it's not just specific to women. Her point is that you can relate to the lyrics in here. So I'll ask you, Tim, have you come to win, to fight, to conquer, to thrive? Have you come to win, to survive, to prosper, to rise, to fly, to fly?
Not to fly, but the other 7 adjectives I have absolutely. Verbs?
I would say that it's difficult to simultaneously come to survive and also come to prosper.
You see, now we're going to get into Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You have your bottom layer where you just want food, and you work it all the way up to sort of a self-actualization. But once you're at the self-actualization, you still need those base needs, right?
Oh, okay. So I was looking at it more as an or situation where you're saying it's more of an and.
I think it's a stepwise progression. You survive.
No, that doesn't make sense because the first thing she says is win.
Well, okay. She had to put the words in an order so that they would make...
Artistic license.
Exactly,
I understand.
yes.
Then you're 100% right. First, she came to survive. Then she begins to rise so that she may win and prosper.
Yes.
And
Also,
ultimately fly. So as you mentioned earlier, Tim, that she has some enemies. This song is about defeating those enemies. Very Slipknot-esque.
in concept.
Sure. There's almost no screaming whatsoever. Something that's kind of amazing. This is the 8th single on the album and still managed to climb to number 19 on the Hot 100.
This thing spawned singles. And interestingly, so we're doing the 13-song version of this. The highest charting single on this is not included in our version.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let me say something about Rihanna. What a pretty voice.
Yeah, she's a good singer.
If I'm Nicki Minaj, I am probably not going to invite Rihanna to come sing.
Absolutely not, no.
If I'm rapping, sure.
If you're Eminem, it makes total sense for you to get Rihanna on there.
Man, I still to this day, though, Tim, I would love to hear that Eminem album. What's it called, do you remember?
Revival.
I would love to hear the complete Revival, end to end, with no guests whatsoever, where Bruce sings every part of the songs that are sung by your Beyonce and such. And Pink. I forgot Pink's on there for some
Ed
reason.
Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran's there. God almighty.
We should listen to that album again.
Yeah, we might have to revisit it. I think we could do another hour. What in the world was going on there, Bruce? But anyway, we're on something nowhere near as fun this week. Rihanna's really fucking good at singing.
Yes.
She's on our list. It makes me kind of want to steer clear.
Also because people will throw things at us if we do that.
Yeah, we managed to escape Bieber relatively unscathed, and those people are animals.
Yeah, but they're easy to overpower. Rihanna fans are larger and tougher.
Yeah, but not online. We got far fewer death threats than I expected.
That's true.
They're real paper gangsters.
Yeah, definitely. Song number 6, Save Me.
So this song is interesting because, as we mentioned in many previous episodes, the Winstons have a drum sample that gets used in well over 2,000 songs. For this song, Tim and I think we hear that same sample in here. However, when we did a little bit of the research, it's credited to a James Brown song called The Funky Drummer, and it's featured and sampled in over 1,000 songs. However, it is not uncommon for people, when they sample The Funky Drummer specifically, to actually chop it up and to put the drum pieces in different orders. We are trying to figure out, is this the Winstons or is this the Funky Drummer? What do you think, Tim?
I mean, the internet 100% thinks it's Funky Drummer. It sounds like Amen Brother to me. I can't be sure.
We're going to leave it to you guys to take a listen, see what you think. Let us know on Instagram, Facebook, email. Here is the sample of the Winstons. And here is the sample of Funky Drummer. Here is the drum piece from the actual Save Me by Nicki Minaj. Let us know what you think.
This song is also notable on here because it is the only one without any rapping.
Maybe my least favorite song. Tim, let me ask you though, would you save me?
Oh, absolutely. Garrett, I am here for you. Whenever you need me. Would you save me?
No.
You're a bad friend.
Well, it depends. How much time would it take? Does it cost me any money?
Yes. It'd take about 6 hours.
6 hours?
I got myself into a real goddamn pickle.
You know what? If you're just in a jam, I'll help you get unjammed. But, if you need emotional support, I'm out.
Oh, I need constant emotional support.
That sounds right. And with that, I think we're ready to move on to track number 7.
Song 7, Moment for Life, featuring Drake.
I'm not lucky, I'm blessed. Yes, clap for the heavyweight champ, me.
This is another song that is vaguely positive and uplifting, but it's also very braggy. It seems to be about the wild success that both she and Drake had. It's somewhat strange, since this is her first proper album. She hasn't had that mainstream success yet.
I can actually clarify this. Much like she is Mr. Roman Zelensky, she is an unnamed third party.
God damn her.
As is Drake. This is a made-up story about two rapists who dreamt of making it big while growing up together in poverty. And then they are relishing in the success when they finally realize that they have made it.
I feel like I've gotten there.
We're halfway through.
Yep, I've made my decision.
Nope, don't you ruin the
Fair
format.
enough.
This is where I learned two things. For sure, she's not so great at singing. And two, I don't like Drake. Here's what I know about Drake. Drake is a Canadian boy who seems like a sweet young man who grew up as an actor on the hit teen drama Degrassi.
Did he?
Yes, he played a disabled young man in a wheelchair.
I have seen every episode of that show, and I never put that together.
All of this hardcore, I tell the hoes to get down on their knees business, go fuck yourself, Drake. You ain't hardcore at nothing.
Well, first of all, I knew that he was Canadian, so I already knew that bit. No offense to Canadians, you're a very sweet, warm-hearted people. It's not an insult. You're just not doing the hoe knee thing.
No one's afraid you're going to shoot us. That's American domain.
Well, you did corner the market on that.
Or beat you with a bike lock. I hate Drake. I think he sounds nasally and awful. That reminds me, on our Facebook and on our Twitter, I found this amazing story where Ninja from D. Antwoord, the time he went to go hang out with Kanye.
Oh, at Drake's house.
First of all, not only is Ninja just really funny, but the story that he tells both ends with Drake weeping and Ninja blocking Kanye on his phone because he won't leave him alone and he thinks he's a creep. It's so funny. So please go find that. It's on our Facebook. It's on our Twitter timeline. If you can't find it, let me know. I'll pull it back up and retweet it. It gave me a newfound respect for Ninja.
God damn it. You're such a big D. Antwoord fan.
I can be a fan of a person and not their art. I mean, I hate your art.
Oh, well.
Those photographs are provocative isn't even the right word.
The paintings?
Tim, just because they're of me does not mean I like what I'm doing in them. I wish I had the presence of mind to understand when I was in my moment. I'm hoping that means that I just haven't had my moment yet. Tim, I wanted to ask you, as somebody who's been a close observer of me and my life, did I miss my moment?
Garrett, these are the good times. I'm sorry to tell you that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's not
this is
getting
my
better.
moment?
Yep.
Oh, well, I certainly don't want this to last forever.
Seize it, man.
I cannot.
Oh, track number 8, Check It Out, featuring will.i.am.
Something interesting about the title to this song. Every other song that has a guest appearance on it is whatever the title of the song is, featuring that guest. This is the formal title, Check It Out by will.i.am and Nicki Minaj. She got second billing on her own album.
This starts off with a strange, 1950s girl band vibe.
The only thing I could hear was the video killed the radio star. Classic song by the Buggles. So when this opens with that, I was thrilled. Unfortunately, it's just the hook over and over and just drills into your skull until you hate that song. They asked the lead singer from the Buggles, hey, pretty cool, right? Nicki Minaj, will.i.am. Is it pretty amazing to hear that hook back on the radio again? This is what the lead singer Trevor Horn had to say about it. We're very happy because it means we made a little bit of money for it. Either they are desperate for cash or they really just don't give a shit about Nicki Minaj.
If you don't have anything else for this, we can do Snopple fun fact number 6.
We're sticking with Snopple.
I am, yes.
Well, for anyone who's confused, this is Tim's terrible mastermind idea to avoid getting sued by the fine Snapple Corporation.
Right. Nicki Minaj has a pretty spotty employment history. While she was in her Broadway play days, she was a waitress at Red Lobster and then had 15 other jobs, all of which she says she was fired from for quote-unquote discourtesy, which I think means being a dick.
I get the distinct impression that she is not great when it comes to dealing with people. Swinging padlocks around at their faces and such.
Yes.
That's not an appropriate reaction to could I have more cheddar biscuits.
Track number 9, Blazin', featuring Kanye West. I hate K-Way.
I hate how you say Kanye.
He almost makes me wish I was still the person I was in college, when I could just put on my mask and my cape and beat someone with a padlock to teach them an anonymous lesson for very minor perceived slights against me, but that is not who I am anymore, Garrett, and I like to think I'm a kinder, gentler person today.
So can I take that to mean that you admit that you beat me with a padlock?
I did not say that. Did you see who the masked man was?
No, he had a mask on.
Right.
Now, he did have a cape on.
That guy sounds like a borderline superhero. But man, I'd love to give Kanye a good old-fashioned padlocking.
I was actually ready to say this rap was better than anything on The Life of Pablo until he begins abbreviating.
It's like an abbreviation rap. It's the idea of you can't make it rhyme. Well, just abbreviate the word where no one would abbreviate it so that it rhymes.
If you can't think of the word, just change the English language to fit your needs. Some examples. It's obvi, we the ish, our style's so diff. Let's loop back around. We jump straight to Kanye because we just can't stand him, but let's go back to the music. She clearly loves 80s music. Now she's sampling Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds. Here we do get to see that she's a fairly talented rappist. Like, the rate of speed at which she raps is pretty goddamn fast.
Yeah.
However, for the 9th song in a row, guess how great Nicki Minaj is?
Very.
Yeah, so this got me thinking, Tim. Is there a market out there for low self-esteem rap? We've got the high self-esteem. Everybody's out there talking about how great they are, how confident they are. What if somebody came along and took the low road? Talked about how low their self-esteem is, how bad they are at things, their trials and tribulations, and not that end in glory, that end in sadness. I spent exactly 8 minutes working on a song that does just this. Now, I'm no rapist. Of the two of us, you are the resident in-house rapist. I want to preface this by saying I don't think this is good. By any means. However, I don't think it's much worse than what we've heard on this album. So if I may, I would like to take the opportunity here to premiere the world's first low self-esteem rap song. The title of it is Insecure. Here we go. I'm not real sure I'm insecure. You said you like me, but that might be, you know, a joke. I'm broke. I got new clothes. I took them home. I tried them on. I just ain't got the right body for them. Tried online dating. Everybody's faking. Profile pic is really Kevin Bacon. Finally made a match with a girl named Kim. Showed up to the Olive Garden. It was actually Tim. Probably should have known. He's done it 3 times. I'll just go home and have a good cry.
I have done that 3 times. That's great.
That is literally 7 minutes of my day. And I'm not calling this a good song.
It's
but
good enough for Texas Toast.
Well, Texas Toast is not our rap duo. I did not do that with a country twang. Let's think about that. We'll keep workshopping it. Ready to move on?
Yep.
Track number 10. Here I am.
Why is it that you could only see the worst in me? I swear sometimes it feels like it nurtures me.
You know who loves this song?
I don't.
Lena Dunham.
Well, yeah.
I am who I am. Here I am. So take me as I am.
Plus multiple references to the I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar song. Yeah, she definitely loves this.
This is an anthem for female empowerment that Leans and you can completely stand behind.
Yes. There's an interesting couple of lines here, and I might pop a couple of them Percocets. Yeah, that'll make me transform into Hercules.
Well, she calls them Percocets. Otherwise, it wouldn't rhyme with Hercules.
That's my point in this is she does not understand the effect of opiates.
Yeah, that does not make you a hero.
The weird thing is she could have replaced Percocets with PCP, which might transform you into some sort of maniacal Hercules, but more importantly, it also kind of rhymes with Hercules.
You could have just said PCPs.
Yeah, okay, how about this? PCP and Hercules.
Yeah, I hate all of it. I just don't care. I just don't care.
That's fine. Track 11, Dear Old Nicki.
You in all black, but dear old Nicki, please call back.
This seems to be a letter to her previous self before she was famous.
Not the first time we've seen this in our show.
No, but it always amuses me because we oftentimes will talk about either previous Tim or previous Garrett and what dicks those guys are and how they're ruining present life. I just
Those
thought
guys make the worst choices. Whereas her past Nicki seems to be her rock.
So there's 2 things going on here. One, she's explaining how good it's going to get to old Nicki, but she's also sort of half apologizing for changing.
I don't think she's saying how good it's going to get. I think she's telling old Nicki, come back, it has gotten great. Now that we're where we always wanted to be, old Nicki, now you need to come back.
Oh, okay.
At this point, she has achieved everything she's looking to achieve, and she needs that old Nicki back so that she doesn't lose herself. But you're right on the second point. She's apologizing for having lost some of her identity and essentially losing old Nicki, who happens in this case to be young Nicki, which is a little confusing. She managed to work in references to conference calls and lawyer meetings
Yeah, she
in a
does.
song.
It's business rap.
Much like Metallica has inside jokes about conference calls on Saint Anger.
These aren't really inside jokes.
She literally uses the words conference calls and meetings with lawyers. Not a great topic for your song.
Track 12, Your Love.
Were you familiar with the Annie Lennox song?
No.
Okay. Do you even realize there's a song that's sampled throughout this whole thing?
I did, mostly because I looked it up.
Oh, okay. I knew this song instantly. I used to use this song to irritate my sister as a child. I would sit in the car with her when my mother would be doing various errands and just go doop-a-doop-a-doop-doop-doop.
Oh, I would have beaten you with a fucking padlock.
I would do that all the time. So when that started, once again, I was back on board. Unfortunately, they do it through the whole song to the point where I don't think I can ever listen to it again. Literally, what I did to my sister was done to me 20 years later. I'm so tired of getting my comeuppance.
Here's an unfortunate fact that you're going to have to confront. You have a lot of comeuppance coming.
It's been 6 straight months of comeuppance.
Right. But you are still in in the wronging people portion of your life.
Oh, so all my chickens have not yet come home to roost?
Yeah, actually, terrifyingly, very few of them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there is a lot of violence and legal battles in your future.
Violent legal battles?
Maybe.
I learned something about African American culture from this song that I didn't know.
What's that?
Do you know what keep the wave on swim means?
No.
It means keeping your hair waves.
Oh.
So, as a gentleman with relatively curly hair that attempts to tame it, I am often attempting to keep my wave on swim. I didn't even know it.
Maybe you could become an ambassador for the African American community the way I have become a ambassador for strong, powerful women. Femininity.
I doubt it. I put in an application. I have not heard back. She calls a man shoddy in this. Can I be calling you shoddy?
Wait, shoddy? Spell
Like
it.
shorty.
Okay. No, you can't. I believe that means some sort of small female.
I know, but she calls a man that in this.
Well, right,
That's
but
what I'm saying.
it's-
Tables are turned, Tim. Gender equality is here to stay.
Yeah,
You're
but
my
you
shoddy.
can't. No. As you pointed out already, she is constantly swing genders.
No,
Yes.
not in this one, though. In
You
this
don't
one,
know that.
she's
You-
her, so
you-
I can call you shoddy.
How do you know she's her?
Context clues.
No.
She brags about keeping a couple $100,000 in a rubber band. I don't understand the fascination with large bundles of cash.
Don't trust banks?
Why? They're insured. I mean, you're definitely right, because the next line is just left the MoneyGram in the lemon lamb. So you have a lemon Lamborghini, but you're still transferring money using MoneyGram in person.
Right. The banks are fucking you.
But they're not. I have free checking. Another thing I learned about the African American community, putting the Jake on. Do you know what that is?
I don't.
That's jealous.
I have so much to learn about other cultures.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah.
I think we're about 40% of the way there.
The outro to this has some, what I think is very Garrett-like poetry in here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Find me in the dark, I'll be in the stars. Find me in your heart, I'm in need of your love. And then it just says your love a bunch of times, interspersed with baby, you're the illest. I think the beginning of that fits with some Gary.
You know, I don't stick up for that sniveling little jackass.
No, I don't either.
That was clear. But given that it's me, let me say, I don't stick up for that sniveling jackass much. The poetry that I read on this podcast from that age is 100% meant to make everybody laugh at what a jackass I was. I think that that kid was doing a better job than the lines you just read.
Are your thoughts at, 15? Or so, 16?
16, possibly as late as 17.
But the point is that your thoughts at that age were all more compelling than any of these bands. And again, not complimenting you then or now. Both terrible.
No, sure. Wait, what?
I'm saying you're better than them.
Thank you.
But no, no. That is an insult to them. It is not a compliment to you.
Can it be both?
Nope.
Oh, track number 13, Last Chance, featuring Natasha Bedingfield.
This features some more of the hashtag rap we both enjoy so much. Tell them that I'm gunning for the top, Forbes, headed to the top.org.
Boy, that's a terrible hashtag. .org.
Yeah.
I don't even know if a hashtag will work if you start with a special character. This song would fit perfectly on the Air Bud soundtrack. Anyone's unfamiliar, that's a golden retriever that learns how to play basketball. Every other line is I'm ready to shoot. I hated this song so much, Tim. As we will often do on this show, I created my own story. I decided that this song is about the crushing pressures of fame and that she is holding herself hostage and ready to end it all. And I quote, "Only one chance, one bullet in the gun. This is my life. I've only got one. The safety's off and I'll pull it. Oh, stick 'em up, stick 'em up. I'm ready to shoot."
I think you had me at one bullet in the gun. There's really only one reason for that.
Yeah, you don't need a second. Although sometimes it turns out this is something they won't tell you on the TV. Sometimes you do need a second one.
Yeah. Problem is, you're often not in the condition to use that second bullet.
Especially if it's just sitting on the counter. And good luck loading a gun with no face.
Jesus Christ. What is this podcast about? It was about music, and then you used the word no face?
I'm just talking about logistics. You know, if you need help, reach out. Not to us.
Yeah, there's a hotline for that.
There's a
You can
hotline.
Google it.
Yep. It's gotten dark.
Can we be done? We done with
Yes.
these songs? All right.
Yes. Okay, Tim, I don't think we can even sort of hide it. How much money did this fucking thing make?
This did real fucking well. It debuted at number 2 on the Billboard Top 200. It sold 375,000 copies in its first week. You can compare that to the 11,000 that was Dee Antwoord's best ever. But this was the second highest sales for a female rappist in history after only Lauryn Hill in 1998.
Wow.
It did eventually get to number 1, 11 weeks after its release, but it only stayed there for a single week as it was quickly overtaken by Now That's What I Call Music number 37.
Really?
Yep. It was the 7th best-selling album of 2011 and the 152nd best-selling album of 2012. You'll be happy to hear this, because I often mention the Dutch mega charts. It did not chart. In the Netherlands, I think that's where we agreed Dutch was.
I hate you.
In 2016, it was certified triple platinum. That includes 2 million physical copies sold. In a time, no one's buying physical copies. The rest is digital copies and then combined track sales. But as you mentioned, this spawned 8 singles, and all of them charted, and they sold a combined 11 million copies of singles in the US alone.
Jesus Christ.
Super Bass, which again, we did not talk about because it's on the deluxe edition, that was certified octuple platinum. And she was the first female musician in history to have 7 singles on the Billboard Top 100 chart simultaneously.
I mean, good for her. Honestly, you almost have to have that level of success because no less than 137 people worked on this album.
That's true, yeah.
That pie's got a lot of slices.
It was also nominated for 3 Grammy Awards.
That's so confusing to me.
Yeah, that's how it did. Before we go on, Snopple fun fact number 408F. Like Garrett, Nicki Minaj's favorite television show is Judge Judy.
That's so weird.
She's a Judy head.
All right, Tim, what did the critics have to say?
This was pretty well received overall. Metacritic was 68 out of 100, but the reviews that I saw, they didn't give it a high score. They were still very positive.
In the write-up?
Yeah. I mean, hell, Pitchfork gave it 6.5 out of 10, and they usually fucking hate everything.
Yeah, I really like Pitchfork.
But I do have a single professional reviewer, if you'd like to hear his opinion.
Please tell me it's who I think it is.
That's right. We have a Robert Christgau review, and it is a long one.
Oh boy.
For those that aren't familiar, Robert Christgau is a longtime reviewer. He's been reviewing albums since the 1960s, and he's an insane person who writes about nonsense that may or may not have anything to do with the album whatsoever, and then he assigns it a random grade that may or may not have anything to do with his actual review. And the Robert Christgau game is, I will read the review and then have Garrett try to guess what the letter grade that Robert Christgau gave it.
Great.
All right. Not only are those not her breasts, at least not the ones her biologicals gave her, but her hair isn't really pink or wink wink straight. Starting off a little racist, but whatever.
Little racist.
Not only is the quick-lipped hoyden of the year all Young Money, but she's consorting with the Natasha Bedingfield and reminding will.i.am how he did it. Half rapping and half singing, half bragging and half kowtowing, brazening a punt rhyme here and proclaiming commonality with girls that never thought they could win. She's proud to be shameless with the hooks to back it up. She knows well the presumably stolen words of her male collaborator counterpart Drake. Everybody dies, but not everybody lives. And damn right, she calls this living.
Boy, pretty even-handed, a little racist, and not terribly specific. I'm just going to go with my gut. I think this is probably wrong. I think it's a C+.
Robert Christgau flat-footed this as an A.
Whoa, Christgau. You know what? I am fine failing this time on the Christgau game. He failed me. An A.
Yep, I was surprised too.
All right, well, that's the Robert Christgau game. We know what the professionals had to say about it and Robert Christgau. What did the average man on the street have to say?
On Amazon, this had 361 reviews. It was a 4 out of 5 star average. It had 70% 4 to 5 star reviews and 19% 1 stars. Here's the first review. It is called Great CD for New Fans by Ruzza. I have watched Nicki on Idol and I really like her, so I wanted to see what her CD would be like. I ordered the clean version, I'm 67, and frankly I feel gypped because all of the songs on the regular CD are not on this version, including her most popular hit, which I listened to on my daughter's music and doesn't seem to have any offensive lyrics at all. So my advice to others is, if you can be more thick-skinned than me, buy the regular version of the CD. It's another person who is over 60 that feels the need to list his references age in his review for some reason.
I'm just wondering if I'm going to be so scared of harsh language when I'm in my 60s.
No, you are going to develop some sort of neurodegenerative disease that actually lessens your filter.
That is as specific as it is incredibly mean.
It's not mean. I don't want this to happen. I mean, I kind of want it to happen because lower filter on Garrett is very funny.
Pretty fun, Garrett. Yeah. What else you got?
This is by LaToya. Anybody who hate this album is obviously a granny stan, in parentheses, aka Lil Kim. This album is the ish. Every song on here is straight fire. I'm going to give you the truth on this album. It fire, although just between you and me, I do wish there were more songs like Roman's Revenge. Not about dissing somebody's grandma, but not mainstream. It's Pink Friday, snitches. Now, this has an edit. That was in November of 2010. So this is edit December 5th, LaToya's birthday. I changed my mind. My fave song is I Did It on M in Money, and now that I think about it, I'm glad she didn't have more hardcore songs. The only songs I didn't like were the ones with Kanye, Drake, and Natasha Bedingfield. She didn't need the extras. Anybody who gave this album a 1 star, I don't think they listened to the album, or they just listened to snippets and then they tried to be funny by giving it 1 star.
LaToya, we listened to the entire thing and we're still trying to be funny by giving it 1 star. Who edits their Amazon reviews?
She used no punctuation except for a bunch of exclamation marks at the very end of that. So if you're going to edit it for anything, for the love of God.
Well, kudos to you, Tim, for understanding where to put the pauses in. That's bizarre.
The next one is by Peter DeBow. It's called Commercial. Yes. Fun. You betcha. Warning. I bought this album because the cover intrigued me. Haha. I also read one of the 1-star reviews and it stated that this album was too commercial. Sold. If you love straight up serious rap, then perhaps this album isn't for you. If you like your rap with a Beyonce/Black Eyed Peas twist, buy it. It will put a smile on your dial and a tap on your souls. Smiley
Smile
face.
on your dial.
Yeah. 5 out of 5, by the way.
Of course. Any more?
Well, I've got slightly less positive. This is called Maybe You Should Skip This One by 78 Brownie. After all the hype and virtual beef, I just knew she was gonna spit fire. Sadly, it was all smoke and mirrors because this is the worst $11 I spent. The best part of the album is when somebody else is on the track, and when she's quiet. I don't like how it appears she chose random words and rhymed but had no substance behind it. If this is what we have to look forward to, hip-hop is really dead. She adorable, her brand dope, but lyrically, she's a tragedy. 14 people found that helpful, and she gave it 1 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty on message. Good reviews, Tim. So let's ask the first question. Who is this for?
This is for people that dislike Lil Kim. It's for ish people in their 60s. And for those of us that are not granny stans.
Want to get a smile on their dial?
God, I love it.
It's, once again, it's for people that want to dance. And folks that like the idea of rap without any of the traditional aspects of it. That brings us to final thoughts before we get to the most important question. I feel like we've almost beat this thing to death. As usual, I hate it more than when we started.
Yes.
It's so damn commercial. As we've talked about, it is very manufactured. I feel like we've really gotten an opportunity to peek behind the curtain and see just how much they're playing us all.
For as interesting of a history, specifically early childhood as she's had, this is so boring and uninspired. I tried to, get into it, and she just lost me on every song. I just don't care.
I mean, that dragon song's not bad.
Like a dungeon dragon.
Oh, your dragon's getting better.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, let's not waste any more time here. Tim, do you hate this album? Be honest. Don't let me pressure you.
I think I can give this a hate. I think so.
Well, don't do me any favors.
Everything we talked about, you're right to say, I like this less and less. Every song that we talked about, really every listen, I just liked it less and less. Yeah, I hate it. What about you? Do you hate this?
Yes.
All right.
Hated it to start with. Hate it still.
I think you said you didn't hate it.
Yeah, I guess I was lying. I'm always hesitant to say up top I hate it, except for, when we did Florida Georgia Line. Well, because here, there's a lot of things to at least respect.
Sure.
But the real revelation I've had with this episode is that the commercial formulaic nature of this, I really, truly, in my mind, had always framed rap music to be almost the purest expression, because they're not constrained by the necessity of creating a song.
Yeah.
They're speaking over, and granted it's done rhythmically. I'm not saying that doesn't require a great deal of skill.
Sure.
But you could say anything you want. But unfortunately, they kind of go the opposite direction as you would expect. It's all bike locks and dragons.
I like the dragons, though.
Yeah, the dragons are pretty great. Okay, as always, a little bit of housekeeping at the end. We've been getting some reviews. We've been getting some emails. We love them both. HatePod.com. Click on the contact in the upper left-hand corner. Let us know what you think of the show, suggestions for albums, any hilarious stories you have about the music or something we talked about on the show. We'd love to hear from you. Also, there's album HatePod on Twitter, at HatePod on Instagram, hatePodMail@gmail.com. If you don't want to go to the website, you just want to email us directly. We'd love to hear from you. We're still collecting emails to do a viewer mail episode, and we'd love to make it a regular thing. If you guys want more episodes of the show, that's the best way to do it right now, because we just can't listen to these terrible, terrible albums any faster than we do. Please rate, review, tell your friends, tell your mother, tell your grandma. Please review it. If you don't know what to say, Tim's a sucker, Gordon's a sucker, Tim Antword. These are all great things.
Yep.
We really appreciate it. Shut up, Tim. We really appreciate it. This has been Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I'm the other, Gordon Eversley.
The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.